Have you ever noticed that most diets start off with the wrong question? This is true in my experience. People ask, how fast can I lose fat? But the problem comes from when they only focus on fast fat loss, they end up tired, hungry, miserable. And then even if they lose weight, which obviously can happen if you're focused 100% on fat loss, it seems like you gain it all back as soon as things get hard, difficult, you start traveling, there's a set of cookies on the table, whatever. So in my opinion, the real question should be, how do I lose fat fast without losing my energy, focus, or my life in the process? And how do I sustain that forever? So this is the last time I have to do this, because losing fat, going on a diet, like that's not like what you are here on earth for. Those things are like the like what we do to kind of get back to a baseline, to get our buy-in, to get our fit body, so we can start doing things that are important to us as humans. And that's exactly what energy first fat loss is all about. Instead of chasing fat loss and burning out, we eat in a way that maximizes our energy first. And the crazy part is that when you do that, fat loss becomes automatic. I'm, in, I'm going to break this down today. This is the foundation of the $1,000,000 body method. I'm going to show you why it works, who it works for, and how you can start using it right away to get leaner without sacrificing your energy that you need to perform at work, home, in the gym, etc. If you want to know more about this, go to getnatesbook.com. You can download the $1,000,000 Body Method book. It goes through everything I'm going to talk about today in more depth, and then it ends up with a 28-day plan that you can try on your own. So if you want to go to that, you want to read a little bit more about it, I'm going to break it down in this episode, but check it out at getnatesbook.com if you want more. Welcome to Get Leaner and Live Longer with Nate Palmer, the show for busy people who want to maximize their energy, burn fat, and build a body that feels as good as it looks. I'm your host, Nate Palmer. I've been a coach since 2008. I believe that looking great and feeling unstoppable does not require hours in the gym or giving up all the foods that you love. This show is where I share real strategies that help you get leaner, live longer, and unlock your $1,000,000 body. So if you're ready to cut through the noise, take control of your health, and feel like a high performer again, let's do this. So first of all, what is energy first fat loss? There's a million diets out there, right? And a lot of them work, regardless of how you feel about keto or Mediterranean or Weight Watchers, Whole30, whatever. There's a lot of people who have had success on each and every diet. The thing that I find challenging in my profession, been doing this since 2008, and I've seen thousands of people go through different programs, diets, weight loss protocols, etc. But it seems that sustainability is the number one issue that keeps people from getting the results that they want and keeping it off for life. There's there's a 95% recidivism rate in weight loss, which means that out of every 100 people that lose weight, only 5 are able to keep it off for the rest of their lives. And that's a problem, right? Because not only is that time, energy wasted, it's also a pain in the ass to go through, track your food, do your diet, whatever else, whatever like protocol you're on. And if you're doing that, you're working super, super hard to do that. You're depriving yourself. You're like setting these standards. You're disciplined. You're waking up early. It sucks to go on vacation and come back and be like, oh, well, I gained all the weight back that I just spent 5 months losing. So that's annoying. So this is my thought around this. And I'm not going to tell you that this is the greatest diet in the world. I will tell you though, that the people who seem to adopt this strategy are able to maintain weight loss for the rest of their life. And I don't have 50-year study showing that, but I've seen many, many people going through this process. I've coached probably 1,200 people in the last 10 years on this process. And the ones who are able to visualize it, use this protocol, and take this to them with them where they go to happy hour, to grandma's house, to holidays, whatever, seem to get good results and stay with it long term. Because if you're like, you can cut down to 1,000 calories, 1,200 calories, or do a bunch of extended fasts, or eat keto and only, just like be extremely diligent. But if you can't sustain that, then like almost in my mind, what's the point? And I get being extreme for a moment to kind of like back off, but most people don't have a plan to back off. And a lot of these diets don't allow them to back off, right? Most of these times we see people cutting calories, they go 1,800 calories, 1,500 calories, 1,200 calories. They still have got some weight left to lose. You can't drop your calories much more than 1,200. You're not going to be able to sustain that. Like eventually this is the problem of the biggest loser, is that they got people on thermogenics and AKA drugs and stimulants, and they've got them eating just super, super low calorie and working out 5-6 hours a day. Can't sustain that in real life. It's not possible. So even though it gives great results and looks good on TV and you dropped 50 pounds, amazing job, like it's not going to translate. And that's the issue, because I found that when people are actually prioritizing their energy, they're focusing their performance first before they're focused on their calories or specific like macronutrient breakdown or whatever else, they start feeling better. And feeling better is one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself to make sure that you stay on point for as long as it takes to get the results and keep the results. Because if you feel like shit all the time, you're not going to keep doing the thing. But if you wake up every day and you're full, you don't feel hungry or snacky or got a bunch of cravings for sugar, you got a ton of energy, you're doing great at work, you sleeping really well, like that's another easy like pro in the pro column to like keep on with what you're doing, because it's not just about the fat loss, it's about the performance, it's about how you feel, it's about how you show up. And I think that like a lot of times we're not so concerned about having a super ripped six pack, but we want to not be falling asleep at 4 o'clock on the couch when our kids are home from school. And that's the only time we get to see them for the day. That sucks. So let's figure out the alternative. And I think this is a great option. Is it the end all be all of diets? Absolutely not. But does it work? Does it have a good track record? Yeah. And is it perfect for parents and high performers and entrepreneurs and business owners who use their brain as their like primary income earning source? Yeah, absolutely. This is a killer method. Okay. So I'm going to go through it today and show you a little bit about how to do it. Like I said, go to getnatesbook.com if you want the full breakdown. But here it is. Here it is in a nutshell. The formula is we're going to eat most of our carbs in the PM. We're going to eat really high proteins and fats in the morning. So usually like a protein shake's easy way to do that. 2 scoops of protein, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, some maybe like a half a banana if you want to, a little bit of salt, some ice in there. Make a really thick shake that's going to keep you satiated until like 12, 1 o'clock. Then lunch is going to be proteins and vegetables, maybe an apple in there. So like a salad, great option there. And then most of your carbs in the PM. I like the carbs that I prefer are going to be white rice and any variation of potatoes, not French fries, but like sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, even like, like if you can make home fries or like French fries in the air fryer, but just not like tater tots, right? I think we're all on the same page here. And the goal, here's why this works is because we are prioritizing your energy, and we're doing that through blood sugar stability. Most people have what's called insulin resistance. And if you want to know if you have insulin resistance, here's a quick test you can do at home without doing anything crazy. What you're going to do is you're going to get a measuring tape, and you're going to measure at your waistline, the narrowest part of your waist. So men, this is usually like an inch above your belly button, basically. So we don't want to get any hips or love handles in there. We want to get basically at the waistline. Take that number and then divide that by your height. That number, if it's 0.46 or below, you don't have insulin resistance. Congratulations, you're insulin sensitive, which means your body's going to tolerate carbs. Your blood sugar is going to be a lot more stable. You're going to feel a lot better, have better energy, wake up without brain fog. Congratulations, you did it. If you're 0.47 or above, that means you have some variation or some, like it's on a spectrum, right? You have some type of insulin resistance, and we need to work on that. This is also a great test to determine visceral fat numbers. And visceral fat is one of the most dangerous types of fat. It releases cytokines into your bloodstream, causes inflammation, causes brain fog. It's the worst, right? Visceral fat, by the way, that's like the belly fat stuff that wraps around your organs. It actually develops like, I don't want to say sentience, but it grows and it sends signals to your brains like, sugar, feed me. So it's kind of like an alien living inside your stomach. So that's messed up. Let's get rid of that. You know what I mean? You don't need that. You don't need that negativity. So we're looking for blood sugar stability, and blood sugar stability starting off in the morning, basically, rather than getting on this airplane that goes way up to like 40,000 feet, then drops down to 20,000 feet, and then goes up to 30,000 feet, and then drops back down all day long. We're kind of riding this like bumpy roller coaster of blood sugar. That's what most people do when they eat Pop-Tarts or bagels or high carb breakfast. They spike their blood sugar, it drops down. You're hungry at 10, you're tired at 10:30, you don't eat a handful of blueberries, you have that half of a donut that's in the break room. It's kind of gnarly, but you eat it anyways. And then we're just riding this roller coaster the rest of the day. And we're like, get home. Like, I don't know. I feel like shit right now. I don't want to go work out. So it's just this compounding effect where it's just this vicious cycle. So we want to get great blood sugar stability. So thinking about this in the mornings, like a protein shake's awesome. Proteins and fats are going to stabilize your blood sugar. Proteins and fats both take a lot longer to digest than carbohydrates. So if you don't have a giant spike from carbs in the morning, it just makes your days just go so much better. Now, that being said, if you're jacked, if you're super lean, you got abs, you're a sub 12% body fat as a man, you have a 0.46 or below, adding in carbs in the morning is not going to affect you the same way. So this is not like something where you have to do all the time for the rest of your life. It's just a great strategy to kind of get down there and then start reintroducing things and testing them out on yourself. See how you feel. Some people don't do carbs in the morning, even after they get down that low. They just don't feel as good. They don't feel as clear. And that's fine. Just do what works for you. So the next thing that I really like about this is the hormone balance, because if you're not spiking your insulin and your cortisol, you're not messing with your ghrelin and your leptin, that's your satiety and your hunger hormones, you're going to have better fat burning and fewer cravings. Because also now we're only down to 3 meals per day. We're not snacking. We're not eating in the middle of the day. And when you're not snacking and not eating, your body's able to digest food and burn fat. You can't burn fat while you're digesting. It's not, they don't, those two processes don't happen at the same time. So if you want to burn more fat, just eat less times. That's a really easy rule. Okay. And then lastly, mental clarity, right? If you're eating food, you're digesting, you're pulling a lot of blood from your brain, your extremities into your gut to digest. So you need blood for most things in life. So the more blood you can get to your brain, the more blood you can get to your outer extremities, the better you're going to feel. So you're going to have a little bit more mental clarity there. You're going to perform better at your work. You're going to perform better at your workouts. You're not going to get that brain fog that comes after eating a donut or Chipotle burrito where you want to sleep under your desk for like 15 minutes. So this is kind of like, again, just focused on performance and energy, looking at evolutionarily, how are we designed? We're designed to have like level blood sugar throughout the day. And most of the time we're feasting at night. We're coming back to the cave with a woolly mammoth that we slaughtered on a 15-mile ruck and then walked back to the campsite holding its leg, roasted over the fire with our friend Grog. That's kind of the baseline. We haven't been in this society where we've had refrigeration and cold shower or warm showers and the ability to like pick food on demand and just have someone bring McDonald's to your door for a small $9 service fee. This is brand new for us. Our bodies are not adapted to this. We still are living in like bodies that are adapted for like agrarian hunter-gatherer societies. And we slap a bunch of sugar, fat, and salt on that with a dash of convenience and Netflix. And we're like, why is everyone sick? And they're like, it's seed oils. Well, maybe just you haven't done more than 2,000 steps a day in the last decade. That's probably a good part of it too. So we're focused on the blood sugar stability. We're focused on the hormone balance, and we're focused on mental clarity. Those are our metrics, right? So like before we even look at like your relationship with gravity, the way on the scale, how are you sleeping? How are you feeling? What's your energy like? How hungry are you? These are great things to check in on with yourself when you're going through any diet, not just MDB method, not just energy first fat loss, but really anything. These are like going to tell more of a full story than really like what the scale says. So keep those in mind. And then keep testing your waistline too. That waistline, I like to like have my clients do a waistline measurement and a progress picture at least once a month. Because a lot of times you don't see it, you don't see yourself changing, but that progress picture from January to July, you're like, holy smokes, look at the difference. Look what I've accomplished in that time period. But you see yourself every day in the mirror. It's hard to notice those small changes as they happen. Who does this work for? In my opinion, this is a great strategy for busy people in general, people who work with their brains, need to be on during the day. So busy parents, professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners. And I also love this because it doesn't require a ton of work to stay dialed in. Breakfast and lunch. Like you can grab a salad anywhere you can go to McDonald's and get a salad and still check this box. You can bring some chicken thighs that you made yesterday and a bag of carrots. You can do like a protein shake and an apple. You can do something that's super simple for lunch. Make sure that like you have a good breakfast, either the protein shake, maybe some eggs and avocado. I love a chicken thighs and almonds for breakfast. That's like one of my favorite breakfasts, especially if I'm going to go do something intense all day. Like it's my pre-skiing breakfast 100% of the time. I love it. This also really works well for people who have tried calorie counting or more extreme diets in the past and then just exhausted, like feeling like they didn't do well. And not to say that calorie counting doesn't work. It absolutely does. And I think it is a great tool for learning more about food, but it's for that kind of that eat less, exercise less crowd. This is like almost an eat more, move more type of method where I want you to eat as much food as you possibly can within the bounds of this. I also like that. It's a framework. It's like, well, you can eat as much rice as you want to. You can eat as much potatoes as you want to. You can eat as much chicken as you want to. So you don't feel like you're depriving yourself or you're like having to like only give yourself little like bird-sized portions of food. And then it's really great for high achievers who can't afford to trade their energy for faster results in their aesthetics. Okay. So if you absolutely need your energy for the things you do all day, this is a great option. Now, from an evolutionary perspective, this works because humans evolved to go long stretches without food. That's kind of was our norm back in the day. And it wasn't like we could just go grab a Pop-Tart or a bagel, so we were mostly eating animal products, higher protein, higher fats during the day. And then at night, that's when we were having a little bit more like carbohydrates, which were situational and seasonal anyways. So modern eating really flipped that. Carbs all day, breakfast cereal, orange juice, bagels, toast, all of that stuff goes in our breakfast. When really that's more of like a dinner. That's a feast type of a meal. By the way, you ever watch those movies where like the mom's like makes this like amazing, like bountiful breakfast? The dad who comes downstairs fully dressed with his briefcase, he's like, see you later, honey. See you tonight. Grabs like a strawberry and pieces out. I want to go to one of those breakfasts. Not that it's the best for me, but man, it looks delicious. And so if we can kind of reject what modern eating has put in front of us as like a standard American breakfast and start going back to more of like an ancestral, and I hate to say ancestral or primal because legit we're not living in a place where you are eating woolly mammoths, and if you gave a cheeseburger to a caveman, he would eat the shit out of that. He doesn't care. He didn't eat an In-N-Out double. You think he's like, oh no, I got some mammoth at home. I'm just gonna have that. No, he's eating the cheeseburger for sure. It would definitely wreck his immune system and his gut health, but he would eat it for sure. And so looking at other diets, and again, no shade on other diets. A lot of people I know have great diets that they've stuck to that they like. I've seen people stick to keto for years. I've seen people do like amazing things with carnivore. I've seen people get great results and understand more of their body like from Whole30. But these keto, these low fat, these fasting, these clean eating, these macro tracking, these eat less, exercise less methodologies, they can all work in the short term for sure. But most of them are pulling more from willpower than I'm asking most of my clients to pull from. I want to make this so easy so it's not this horrible white knuckle just gritting it out until you can finally go back to eating normal again. That's never going to work out. Most of these also are going to cut your energy. They leave you tired. They leave you hungry. And then when you're tired and you're hungry, that's when you want to eat a chocolate chip cookie. With this methodology, like, yes, I want you to eat potatoes or rice for dinner, but if you wanted that chocolate chip cookie, we could just sub that in as your carb for dinner. You want that chocolate cake, you want a glass of wine, that's your carb. Congratulations, move on to the next thing. So it's a great way to sustain versus like always 100% being on. And I like that because you can switch this methodology of energy first fat loss from being like, I want to lose as much weight as possible and like cut fat, to being like, I just want to sustain where I'm at. And you can use this strategy for doing that. So it becomes like a kind of like this more of a game. You kind of gamify this for yourself. And you're like, okay, for dinner, we have one carb, one protein, and a vegetable. All right, I got some baby carrots in there. Maybe I'll grill up this steak. And then what am I going to have in my carbs? I'm going to have a fruit salad. I'm going to have some sourdough toast. I'm going to eat this piece of cake, whatever it is. And it's so nice to have that flexibility to be able to do those things, especially when you're traveling a lot for work or you got work dinners and client happy hours and things like that. So energy first, I feel like it just works with your lifestyle, works wherever you're going to, restaurants, travel, family meals. Plus, like, I don't want you making 3 different meals when you go home to dinner. I want you to be able to eat with your family. That's the time to sit down, relax, hear what the day, kind of just start chilling out. And what's cool about having the higher carb at dinner is you notice you have higher carb at lunch, you get what? Super tired. So why not harness the power of that, like almost lethargy in like at the time when it's most important? At dinner time, we should be starting to like wind down, That's why I don't love people working out at like 9 p.m. It's just because it ramps you back up. It messes with your sleep a little bit. So at that point, I love like having the bigger meal. You start feeling relaxed. You start feeling a little bit more like, I want to chill, just want to hang out. So that's a great time for that. So we're using your body's evolutionary mechanisms with it rather than trying to fight against those things. So plus it's flexible. Like I mentioned earlier, you can kind of balance it out based on what you need to. So like you're on vacation, you just eat kind of normal. You just fall into those patterns. Make sure your breakfast and lunches are on point, and dinner can be a little bit more flexible. Then when you get back to real life, you just get right back to it. Maybe tighten up those a little bit. Maybe you track or measure your portion sizes, but you can take this same framework and apply it to multiple different ways of eating or multiple different like goals. And it always works. So it's really nice. And it's built on habits, not built on rules. It's like a framework. So it's super easy to get back on track after a slip. You have too much food. You eat a bunch of fat for dinner, a bunch of carbs for breakfast on a Sunday. You go out to endless mimosas at brunch. Great. Get back to work the next day. It's not that big of a deal. So here's my challenge. If you're looking for fat loss right now, try this out for the next 2 weeks. Meal 1, just do a protein shake. 2 scoops of the whey protein. Get that at $1,000,000bodylabs.com. We're running a sale right now. Meal two, do like a salad and a protein, or like, apple. You can do like a low glycemic fruit for lunch. I'm not super worried about it. Berries, apples, oranges. Just don't get the pineapple or mangoes. And then meal three is going to be protein plus a carb. Rice, potatoes are the best. Fruit's good option too. And then some sort of vegetable. So usually try that out for the next 2 weeks. Just see how you feel. Number one, do your waistline measurement before and after. Do your weight before and after. And then keep track of those other metrics. What's your energy like? What's your mood like? And what are your hunger signals like? What are those telling you? And I feel like if you can test that out, and don't just treat it like a diet. It's not a diet. Just treat it like an experiment, something fun. So that way, when someone's like, hey, do you want to do this? You're like, no, I'm kind of doing an experiment right now. I want to see how I end up in 2 weeks. That's way more fun than, can't eat that. I'm on a diet. I'm watching my carbs. That's annoying. So keep it fun, keep it light, try something out, test it, see how you feel. Because when you eat for energy first, like the fat loss is not forced. It's just automatic. It goes on autopilot for you. And that's why I believe the $1 Million Body Method isn't just another diet. It's a way of living. And it keeps you lean, it keeps you focused, it keeps you ready to perform anytime, any place for the rest of your life. Try the challenge for 2 weeks and see it for yourself. I think you're going to be delighted at the results. Hope you're having an amazing day. Thanks for checking it out. I'll talk to you soon.